moment of clarity came to me. I was standing in line in Denver, Colorado over at a Starbucks. And I was witnessing two people purchasing a coffee. One of them, somehow the conversation had led to finding out one person was in the title company or worked for a title company, and the other person was a real estate agent. So they're getting ready to pick up their coffees or whatever the heck they were getting, the lattes or whatever. And one of them said, "Oh, you should give me your information. If you're a realtor, I'm at a title company. Maybe we could do business together." The realtor looked at the title person and said, "Oh, I've got a good title company. They do a great job for me." And the title salesperson said, "Well, we do a great job too. Why don't you give us a shot?" The realtor turned and said, "Well, no, I'm pretty good, but here's my card, and we can kind of give me a call, whatever." In witnessing that moment, that was one of my moments of clarity to revive essentially the Rainmakers Laboratory. The Rainmakers Laboratory is essentially a training program for title sales folks. It was a program that I had put together when I owned my agency, and about 2 years ago I started bringing it back out of mothballs and started figuring out, okay, how can I pump some life into this thing, update it, brush it up a little bit, and create the training program that I used to train my salespeople with. And so we created this series of labs. Originally, version 1 of the lab, we tried it in 2016. So early 2016, we had launched essentially a series of monthly webinars labeled the Rainmakers Laboratory. And the idea behind it was that once a month I would get a group of people together, and we would go through essentially a series of PowerPoints. Each one of these PowerPoints was about 90 minutes long. So it was a combination of homework assignments where students in the lab had to read textbooks, and each month we would kind of break down the book, and then I would share a PowerPoint or lessons that we've learned as a result of reading the book and going through the materials. So we did that for two different versions. So we did version 1 of the lab and then version 2 of the lab. And then we started getting some feedback as to what could really make this program meaningful to salespeople. And one of the bigger pieces of feedback that we received was that, God, this is great material, but it's like drinking from a fire hose. We had to create this whole concept of keeping people's attention for 90 minutes. And if you know anything about salespeople, most salespeople spell ADD, AD, hey, look at that. It's one of those things that it's really difficult to keep someone's attention for 90 straight minutes. So in version 2.0 of the lab, which is what we're talking about right now, we've broken this thing down to a series of video clips. So it's, if we space these things out, it's going to be anywhere from 12 to 20 minutes at a time. And it's going to be video on demand. So at the end of the day, this is one of these things that whether you're on a mobile device or sitting in front of your PC or whatever, you can consume these in digestible bits. And that's really where we're at with version 2.0 of the lab. I'll continue to refer to this as the Rainmakers Laboratory, but it was one of those things that we wanted to break this thing down and create it in more manageable bites. But I wanted to share my moment of clarity with you, because it really explains the impetus of where this all came from. My moment of clarity in watching that interaction between the title salesperson and the realtor, God, it just got me scratching my head saying, God, there was so many things done incorrectly in that interaction. The first one that we talk about is, what is a USP, or a unique selling proposition? And that was one of those really defining moments of me when I watched that and watched the salesperson kind of stumble through it when it just briefly said, "Oh, we've got great service and give me a try." It was almost like, "Hey, I don't have anything of value to offer you, so just give me a try anyway." And it was in that moment that I was watching that thing happen when I said, "Boy, that person, whether they just weren't whether they were not prepared for it or not." But I wanted to give that person so much knowledge in that just brief instant, to say, "Oh, here, do this or say this." And that's where this moment of clarity came to me, is to say, if I could give this back to the sales folks or to the employees of a title company, to be able to really come down and boil it into these manageable bites to give value, I really saw that, okay, this is the direction that we really need to go with this. So that's my story in regards to the moment of clarity. As we move through the Rainmakers Laboratory, we're going to break this into a series of modules. And the idea behind this is that we're going to go through, there's 6 different modules in the laboratory. This one is obviously module 1, what is a USP? So as we go through this, we really want to talk about, in the things that we're going to discuss here in this module, broken down, like I said, into some more manageable bites. We're going to start with Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. And I've got a video clip of the author actually describing the golden circle, and I'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But then we're going to shake into what is a USP, or unique selling proposition, what a USP includes, what it, more important, or in most cases, what just as important, what it is not. We've got some examples of what a USP is in action, and then finally we've got some homework. This is one of those classes where you're going to actually have to do some work on your own. And the idea behind this is to be able to make you stop and think. This, unfortunately, life is not like The Matrix, where you can just, the movie from The Matrix, where you just plug in the adapter and or upload all the different knowledge points. Life isn't like that. You've got to be able to go through the discovery. You've got to be able to go through this and do a lot of the homework on your own. So it's one of those things where I'm going to have actually you do homework assignments and then return back to the modules and continue this. I'm going to call it a monologue, but it's actually a discussion in your own head, is to be able to say, here's what I just picked up, or boy, I just lifted this from the book. This is some really cool information back and forth. So as we go through the book, Start With Why. It's a pretty quick read, and we'll go through 6 different books through the course of the class. This is the first one. I picked up this book probably 2015, and it was one of those ones that really just kind of made me stop and think. After I finished it, I was like, oh my God, talk about doing things the right way. And another one of the themes that you'll see throughout the course of the different books that we read is how intertwined they really are. Even though the books are very standalone books that should be really in the library of certainly every salesperson, but when you think about it, from every employee of a title company, these are 6 really, really good books. The first one, Start With Why, talks about the concept of how this small group of people motivated by the right sense of direction can accomplish any goal they set out to. Whether we're talking about Apple computers, Harley Davidson, Southwest Airlines, you name it. Any small group of people, and while those companies now are just monsters, they all started off real small. And I love the example that they use with the Wright brothers versus Samuel Pierpont Langley. That going through that exercise and listening to Sinek be able to go through that really talks about the importance of having your why in line. So I wanted to share this video clip with you, and that'll give you kind of a good idea of where Sinek was going with this stuff. So why don't we just go ahead and pause this and go right into the audio or the video of the author there.
All those great leaders and all those great organizations, everything from Martin Luther King to Apple computers, it doesn't matter. Big companies, small companies in every single industry. All those that command great loyalty. People. Loyalty is a feeling. Loyalty is a feeling, a human feeling. All those that command loyalty from employees and from customers and from investors. Every single one of them, regardless of their industry, thinks, acts, and communicates the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everybody else. All I did was write it down. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. It's a bullseye. In the middle is the word why. The center ring is the word how. And the outside ring is the word what. It's this little idea that distinguishes those that survive those 3 years, and more importantly, it's this little idea that is able to inspire people to join you in your pursuit. Every single organization on the planet knows what they do. You know the products you sell and the services you offer. Some organizations know how they do what they do. These are the things that we think make us special or better or stand out from our competition. But not very many organizations can clearly state why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. By why, I don't mean to have an exit strategy. By why, I mean what's your purpose, what's your cause, what's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why did you get out of bed this morning? And why should anyone care? As a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. We tell people what we do, we tell them how we do it, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, support, a vote, working hard. But all the inspired leaders, those with the capacity to inspire, every single one of them, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, thinks, acts, and communicates from the inside out. They all start with why. I use Apple very frequently because they're easy to understand and we all get it. If Apple were like everyone else, a piece of communication from them would sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? That's normal. Here's our new technology company. We have these features and that features, and we're better than our competition in this way. We're simpler and have a better user interface. Choose us. This is normal. Here's our law firm. We have all the best lawyers. We went to all the best schools. We win all of our cases. Choose us. This is the norm. But all the inspiring leaders and all the inspiring organizations do it differently. This is how Apple actually does it. They start here. Everything we do, they say, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? It feels different. You want to join me in this pursuit, not because my computers are better, but because you believe what I believe.
So that's pretty much the major bullet point, I guess, to say with Simon Sinek, start with why. I told you this one was going to be an easy one as far as the first day of class. Kids, we're going to let you out a little bit early today. So I do want you to continue reading the book if you haven't started on already. Go ahead and start it. It's, like I said before, it's an easy read. It really lays the foundation for where we want to go. So until next time, we will talk with you soon. Take care.